Hello, hello, hello. How are you, everybody? It's been a while. Hello, hello, hello. It's been a while. I'm happy to be back here with you this month for another It Is Possible Tuesday with Sanya. I'm excited. I am so excited. I'm buzzing. And I'm buzzing because I have a very special guest. You're going to get to meet her. She has loads to say and loads to share with us. And I know you're going to be blessed by her presence and her wisdom and the entire conversation that we're going to have this afternoon. But I want to start off with my usual. Remember, he says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for prosperity and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Welcome. Today, our guest is from the USA, and I've known her for over 10 years, over 11 years. Beautiful person, and you're going to see her beauty shining all through this conversation today. I want to invite my guest to present herself, her beautiful self on screen. Welcome, Tay. How are you?
Thank you so much, Auntie Sanya. I am so just honored that you considered me and invited me to be part of this It Is Possible podcast. I'd like to share with your audience and your friends a little bit about myself. I am Latey Bradford, a native of Dayton, Ohio, in the USA. I was born and raised by an incredibly loving family, absolutely set the foundation for everything that you see and hear today. But I went over to the state of Maryland to do all of my training, which is where I live now. I went through medical school, well, starting in undergraduate, college, medical school, graduate school, and medical residency to now become a family physician. I am both a physician and a scientist with both an MD, a medical doctorate, and a PhD, a doctorate of philosophy and microbiology. But that's who I am professionally. I am also a wife to Auntie Senya's most handsome nephew.
My big Susie.
And I am the proud mama of three incredible boys, um, age 8, age 3, and 9 months today. So, yep, Eden is 9
Awesome.
months today.
Oh, wonderful. Now,
So I have
Tay,
so much to be grateful for.
oh, and we are going to unpick everything that you've just shared with us. So thank you very much for that introduction to your beautiful self. I want to go all the way back. You started off by telling us about the foundation that your family gave you, and I want to understand a little bit more about your background. So you're born
Yeah.
in Daytona, Ohio.
Dayton,
Dayton,
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. What was growing up like for you? Are you from a large family, a small family? What was it
Mhm.
like?
I come from a smaller family. My roots come from really three matriarchs. I have an incredible mother and an even sweeter grandmother and a great grandmother who raised me. So those three women are key and central to creating the woman that I am today. My mom is only one of two children that my grandmother had. So not a big family. I did have extended cousins that I grew up to know, but a relatively small family. And then my mom married, and then we had a combined and mixed family of lots of love. But full of boys. So I have two older brothers, and I still call him my baby brother, but he's now 27 years old this year. Um, so I am the only girl in a family of boys, but again, just really founded in all the love and support and encouragement that was given to me by the incredible women in my family. So,
A str- Mhm.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so not a lot of people, but a lot of
Lot of
love.
love. Yeah, and that's all we need, a lot of love.
That's
So
right.
you had the matriarchs, they set the foundation for you. You
Hmm.
went to school. What was school like for you from primary prep, middle school right up? What was it like for you?
I was very blessed to be able to attend a Seventh day Adventist Christian school from first grade until 12th grade, which in the United States covers elementary, middle, and high school. My extended family is not of the SDA faith. I do have an uncle who actually introduced my mom to the Seventh day Adventist Church. And through her journey and discovery, she made the decision to put me into this SDA Christian environment. And it was one of the best decisions that she could have made for the trajectory of my life. Um, I did excel in school. I love to learn. Um, and even though I was in a predominantly white teaching environment, there was no lack of nurture and interest and investment in seeing all of me develop to its fullest potential. I look back, and even in my um, earliest memories at this school, I just remember the teachers being so kind and loving and interested in all of my gifts and talents, and creating space and opportunity for me to explore those things and to really grow and develop. I was considered, kind of all-star in all things. So not just academically, but I was an athlete. I was class president in both middle school and high school. I was in the drama club. I was a flutist in our concert band. I, did pretty much all of the extracurricular activities. And so I had a very well-rounded experience. I started very early in my interest in science and medicine, and found programs locally at local universities, and then also traveled over the summer to do research internships and shadowing experiences, and got to travel the world doing research even as a teenager.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
my early educational experience was rich. It was full and complete. I didn't have to go to the Ivy preps and the this and the that. I got everything that I needed right where I was planted, and I don't think that was happenstance. That was God ordering my steps and putting the people and places in position so that I would get what I need so that I can be where I am today.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm just looking at you and thinking a teenager, and she's traveling the world and she's doing A and B and C. And I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, how did you balance your life and how were you so organized at so young an age? Because I'm still struggling with organization now.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's partly a personality thing. So
Mhm.
I'm very type A. My mom jokes to this day that, I would wake her up in the morning so I could get to school on time. So it's just my personality.
Personality.
I was always very driven, very independent. And part of that, I think, is just who I am, but also that was partially the role models that I had in my life. So, again, those matriarchs, those key figures, my great grandmother and grandmother and my mom, seeing them in all of, their glory, so to speak, gave me the blueprint. This is who I am to be. So, yeah, I think organization is kind of just, it comes very naturally to me. And that's how I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do and could really excel at them.
Did you ever take a breath? Did you ever just say, I'm not doing anything today, I'm just going to? Is that a strange concept to you? Not being able to always having a full life.
I almost feel bad, but the answer is no. I have I have always been going, 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 going. What's next? This is next. I am a checkbox, make a list, set up a plan kind of person. And when you check off one thing, you're on to the next thing. And that has worked well for me. I will say that it has caught up with me later in adulthood. So all throughout my elementary and high school and even college experience, when I say I was learning year round, there was no summer break per se. I went from my school in Ohio to an internship somewhere in the world. I didn't have a real job, so to speak, until I was in college, and that was like a campus position. Because all of my experiences were internships and research positions that were building my CV and putting all of my skills to really fully develop so that I could become the physician scientist that I am today. But once I got to medical school, after having done school year round and learning year round, I could feel the back end of having worked so hard for so long without a break. And it is in medical school where I began to feel the weight of, this is a lot and maybe even too much, and I need a different system. So it was in medical school that I had to readjust and refocus and find a different path to continue to do all the things I love, but to still be a healthy me.
And that came to me when I realized that you were doing a medical degree and a doctorate. And I was like,
Yes.
wow, that is some serious juggling. That's some real A-class organization, because being a
Mhm.
medical student and then
Mhm.
doing a research, which
Yes.
it's heavy. Um,
Yes.
and you are what you are a phenomenal woman. That much I have to
Thank
say,
you.
with your being
Thank you.
able to do all of that, and you did it, and you did not do it in a mediocre way. So you
Mm.
were at the top of the class. Now, let me ask you, you've given me information about your matriarchal background. You've given me information about your organization, and you told me that you went to a church school, and you told
Mhm.
me that your teachers, though not from the same cultural or racial background as yourself, fed into you. So you were
They sure.
nurtured, and they
Yes.
allowed the full you to
Yes.
bloom.
Yes.
How much of an impact did your Christian education have on your Christian life?
Mm. It was essential. Essential. I kind of see it as, the home and school continuum that some people talk about. So I had homeschool church, that triad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so at home, I had my family, and that was actually primarily, my mom and her faith and her prayer
Yeah.
life. that really taught me what a relationship with God is like. We didn't really talk about doctrine as much, or
Mhm.
we weren't reading Revelation. We weren't in the nitty gritty
Yes.
at home, but I got to see what relationship and what faith looks like lived out through my mom. And then at school, I did get the teachings of, these are the truths of the Bible, and this is what we believe, and this is how we live it out. And then at church, I had much more of a congruent cultural experience. So at church, it was people that looked like me. I could completely be at home. And not that I couldn't be myself at school. I was very much myself at school, but at church, it's a different feel when you're in and around your
Yes.
folks.
Yes.
And in all of those three environments, I feel like um, being in a place where I'm not only learning about God, I'm seeing it lived out in real time by people that I love and who love me, and who are really pouring into me. And it was at church and at school that I had my first opportunities to speak in public, to lead, and to demonstrate my leadership qualities. Um, I did my first sermon. I can't remember if I was 10 or I was very young, certainly not even a teenager yet. Um, I was selected from amongst my peers to give speeches in public settings. I was nominated to sit and meet Dr. Ben Carson, and this was, back in the day.
Before.
Back in the
Back in the
day.
day.
But all of those experiences came from that triad, and without it, I certainly would not have had the spiritual foundation, which has carried me through this long journey um, that I've been on. And if you took away any one of those pieces, I think my life would have been very different. So, again, I think, our awesome, intentional God, He sees the big picture, right? And He knows how all the pieces need to fit together. We just need to trust Him in it. We can't see, but as things begin moving into place, we got to trust and go. And actually, now that I'm a parent, my prayer is, God, give me the vision and the insight to be able to put my kids where you want them to be, to be able to orchestrate those things, in whatever way you want me, so that they can live out their full, life of abundance the way you've done for me.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at you and I'm just beaming because I'm so happy that I know you. I'm just so happy that I know you because you're inspiring me every time I think about you and I think about how much you have accomplished and how much you have done and where you are. I'm like, yeah, Tay did it. I'm gonna follow it. I want to be like Tay, definitely. You are an inspiration. So thank you
Thank
very much
you.
for that, Tay. I want to talk a little bit about your experience in church, your leadership.
Mhm,
Now, you're a youth leader, and share with me some of the things you did as a youth leader.
mhm. So this is going, all the way back to, I was probably, my mom would have a better sense of age and how old I was, but I'm going to say around maybe just under 10, maybe. But I, as a child, was already giving the children's story.
Awesome.
so, so I, in my young self, was already developing lessons, spiritual lessons from stories. And it wasn't always reading a book. Sometimes I would
Mhm.
make up a story with a,
Yes.
and the moral of this story is, you know, and I was already doing that as a child myself. Um, in Sabbath school, I was frequently called on to help teach and lead the lesson. Um, Pathfinders. Ooh, crucial experience for
Oh,
me,
yes, definitely.
going through, the training process and then becoming, a CIT, a counselor in training. You got to wear the cool uniform with the red beret.
Yes, right. Oh,
And
yes,
so
yes.
then being in a position where I was then responsible for, the learning and development of younger Pathfinders, those were experiences that, hands down really set the tone for, building my confidence in leadership and really sharpening my tools, because God gave me a gift, but he uses these experiences to like sharpen the tool, and to help you fully grow and develop in that area. Um, School and church kind of overlap. So those things are in church, but in school, very early, student government. And I mentioned I was class president,
President.
um, you know, team captain, for the sports teams, um, being selected again to represent the school in public settings, both as a speaker and as a learner. So those are the experiences that come to mind, and they start really early.
So, when you done your middle school, you've ended
Mhm,
secondary school, did you
mhm.
go to college or did you go to straight to uni? What was it like for you?
Yes. So I went straight to university from high school. And the miracle, I have to tell you this story. So the miracle of getting to college, I remember this very distinctly. I was in the 8th grade, and I'm already thinking about high school and I'm thinking about what's next. I understood that sending me to private Christian school was a financial sacrifice for my family. We were not
Yes.
of, you know, great means. I lived very comfortably, and there was not anything I needed that I didn't have, but I understood the
Good.
sacrifice financially, and I said a prayer in the 8th grade. I said, God, if I do my best, if I give you my excellent effort, I know that you're going to pay for me to go to college so that my mom doesn't have to spend any more money on my education. I made that declaration and I said that prayer
You
in the 8th
prayed.
grade. Well, now fast forward to my senior year of high school. This is the last year before you go to university. I received, I think, a record breaking scholarship, in terms of amount, that my school had ever seen. I was awarded a full ride, which is tuition, room and board, all expenses paid, um, full ride scholarship to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I didn't know a single soul in Maryland at that time, but I knew that God was setting something in place, and that's where I needed to be. There's a scholarship program at UMBC that is specifically designed and created to grow underrepresented minorities in STEM. And so I knew that needed to be the next place to nurture all of my dreams. And God made a way. I went to UMBC for 4 years. I finished with, an excellent record to be able to get into a combined MD PhD program. And I did it all for free.
To
God did it
God
all for
be
free.
the
How about
to
that?
God be the
To
glory.
God be the glory.
You
To
spoke it
God
into
be the
being
glory.
and you
That's
believed
right.
it.
I
And
sure did.
I'm
I
just
sure did.
impressed at in year eight. In
Mhm,
year eight, you
mhm.
said, God, if I do
That's
my
right.
very best,
That's
I
right. Yeah.
you will pay.
You will.
So that,
That's what I said.
yeah,
You will. Not will you. I said you will do
yeah.
this.
And and
That's
and
right.
and you took the Bible at its word because God says,
That's right.
"Come to me boldly."
That's
There
right.
was no ifing and butting, no shuffling of
Mhm.
feet. You were confident because, as you said, the relationship your mother had with God
That's
taught
right.
you about
That's right.
relationship with Him. That
Yes.
that's that's awesome. That
Yes.
is awesome. And
Yes.
you didn't just say it, you believed it, and
Mhm.
then you did your part.
Mhm.
You
Yep,
did
that
your
was
part.
absolutely the first, I can put my finger on, like, an awesome miraculous answer to prayer. There's been many over the course of my life, but that one, that major one, that was the first experience in my own personal faith walk where I knew God was real. I know, God, who you are even in my young age, and I know you're
Yes.
going to do this for me because, like you said at the beginning, I knew in that moment that God had a plan for my
That-
life. So he was going to work out the details, but I was just going to be obedient and do my part.
You are just following where he was
Hmm.
leading. That
That's
that
right.
is awesome. Now, I'm just blown away. 4 years.
Yeah.
No, you didn't have to think about anything. So you could
No,
just say, I am here for the ride. I'm doing my
I am
best. God's going to do
focused.
the rest.
That's right. So other people, they got to do what they got to do. Some people had to work, and thank God I could just focus. I didn't have to worry about juggling in that sense. I didn't have to worry
Yes,
about
yes,
juggling work and academics.
definitely.
I could
Yes.
just, enjoy my college experience while, building those, building blocks to get to medical school.
Now, you have gone to medical school, and what was that like?
Hmm. I'm glad that you looped back and gave me an opportunity to correct something that you said. Um, Up until medical school, I'll give you that I was pretty much at the top of the class. I'll give you that. Once I got to medical school, things were not as easy as
Mm.
before. And I want to acknowledge this because this is also part of the miracle. This is also
Mm.
part of the journey that God is using to bless other people. So I don't want to shy away from it. I don't want
Yes.
to gloss over the fact that I struggled to get
Mm.
through this MD PhD program. And I can tell
Mm.
you why. So, medical school, people often, they often describe it as trying to drink from a fire hose, meaning it's so much information. Technically, you're getting hydrated, but it's just a lot coming at you all
Total.
at
Yeah.
once. Um, and I was able to understand, but the volume that you're responsible for knowing and mastering was a lot. And I felt like my efforts and, my study methods were just not producing the results that I was used to. Now, in no means was I failing. I was just a B average student, which I know sounds like, you know what I
Aw,
mean? That's might
that's
as well
not
be at the top
you.
of the class. um, I was a B student, and I was, unfortunately, because of the scholarship program that I was in, I was made to feel like I was not achieving the bar or meeting the bar. And so there was a lot of, tutorials and meetings about how can we improve, your performance. And I'm here thinking, a B is the worst possible scenario, right? Um, and when you step back and in retrospect and now having a little more insight, I recognize um, some trials God allows, right? That wasn't a comfortable experience, but at the end of the day, nothing was taken from me.
Kind of from me.
No
Yeah.
harm was done. He only used it to make me wiser and stronger and more empathetic, to other people's struggles and journeys.
Mm.
I went through a roller coaster ride feeling like maybe this is not for me, maybe I'm not good enough. Here with my B average, right? So,
Yes.
um, I thought, in the moment, I was like, this is the worst thing that could happen to me, right? But now having gone through it and watching how God intervened right when I needed him to and helped me through, I recognize I had to go through that. I needed that trial. I needed that fire, I needed that lion's den to really help me grow even more than from where I was, grow even more. Um, and the MD PhD program was integrated. So you did do medical school, you did do graduate school, but they did allow you to focus on one and then the other. So I started with medical school. The first 2 years were the coursework. And then I went into grad school and I chose a discipline that I was comfortable with, but because the technology was moving so fast, I had to learn. I mean, the learning curve was steep. And here I'm a biology major, a very much, biology minded person. I was learning computer science and computer programming and, you know, skills that I had never even touched or explored before, but I needed those tools to be able to analyze my data.
Mm-mm.
And I didn't have the most, supportive mentor structure, which was okay. I was very independent, but I think I may have needed a little more hands-on support. But it forced me again. I didn't lose anything in that struggle. In fact, at the end of my PhD, what I gained was near complete mastery of computer programming. So a whole other skill set I never
Yes.
even thought I'd have. So, again, in the moment, sometimes we feel like I'm going through this struggle and it's, taking from me. But when God looks at the big picture, he's like, if you only knew, I'm using this to add and to build and to grow. And it's because I've been through those things, and they're not always the funnest things to talk about, because I talk about, oh, I struggled, oh, I wasn't at the top of the class, whatever. Somebody needs to hear it, right? Somebody needs to know and to be able to see what it looks like on the other end. And so I thank God for my testimony. I thank God for, the experiences that he took me through, because I know that I'm better. I'm better because of it. And all of this is about him anyway, right? This is all for his glory. So,
Yes.
to God be the
Yes.
glory for all the
Yeah.
things he's taken
Yeah,
me
takes
through,
me
and
through.
now
And
how he's manifest his strength in all of this.
yes. Oh, this is a fantastic story we're hearing. It's awesome. And like I said, I want to be like you, multifaceted, talented, wholesome person. And I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you and I'm just blown away with your humility.
Hmm.
There's no airs and graces. You're just you, beautiful, intelligent, smart, fantastic, and a godly woman. And
Hmm.
I,
Thank
I
you.
I need to touch on this now. In all of this, you had a social life.
Yes, I did.
Now, tell me about the social life, because I don't. I there was something different about your social life. You weren't looking. You weren't dating for marriage, were you? You were.
No,
I,
no.
talk to me. Talk to
Okay,
share
I'm
that with
gonna
us.
I'm gonna answer your question, but I just want to go back, and again, I
Yes.
have to point and give credit where credit is due. Um, I am, and really try to be humble. Um, because that is the way I was raised. It didn't matter what kind of grades I brought home. They could be all A pluses, 4.0. I was expected to be a good person.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
expected to still be responsible. My mom used to always tell me that I can't go around babysitting other people's kids and making a couple dollars if I'm not going to take care of my own little brother and be good at that first. Like,
Wow.
it's you have to have the fundamentals down, and that's your character.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
who you are
Yes.
when nobody else is watching. So it doesn't
Yes.
matter if you're a superstar on TV, or you're famous for this or for that. It's who you are at home. It's who you are, again, when nobody else sees you. So I have to credit, my mom and my upbringing for really instilling that in me. And because I've had a measure of success in my life. It is easy to, get puffed up sometimes, but
Mhm.
life and my experiences, especially that one in med school and
Yeah.
grad school, has taught me the value of, just keep it real,
Real.
real humble. Keep it real humble.
Keep it
But going
real.
back to my social life. So some people are amazed by this, and it is the honest truth. My first real serious boyfriend slash relationship is now my husband.
Awesome.
I did not have any serious relationships, people that I brought home and introduced to family, like nothing serious until I was in medical school. And that doesn't mean that I was a recluse and I was
No.
aloof and, standoffish. I had friends, and because of my introverted nature, I didn't have the desire to be out and, spending all kinds of, hours and weekends out on the town. That's just not me. It's not my personality or my desire to do those things. So I had the time of my life at UMBC and all of the clubs, and not dance clubs,
Not, not,
like
not,
dance, like
I
liturgical
know.
dance and gospel choir, the extracurricular
Curricular clubs.
activities on campus.
Yeah.
But I had the best experience and don't feel like I missed out on
Yeah.
anything, to be quite honest. Um, but I will also mention that it was in undergrad that I connected with a family and a church family in Baltimore that really just adopted and loved on me. Because remember, I told you I didn't know a single person in Maryland when
Yes.
I moved
Yeah.
here. And again, only by the providence of God. So my first weekend of college happened to be Labor Day in September, and I flew back to Ohio that weekend to sing in a wedding. And I didn't know the bride or her family, I just knew the groom. But at the rehearsal dinner, the bride's brother stood up and said, "I'm a pastor in Baltimore."
Isn't
And I said, "Are you serious? I just moved to Baltimore. I'm a college student. I didn't have a car, I didn't know anybody." And from that point forward, when we got back to Baltimore, they picked me up every Sabbath. They fed me every Sabbath. I joined the praise team. They picked me up every Friday night. And even when I had my own car and had transportation, I chose to be there. I
yes.
had an outlet, on Friday night. So I wasn't looking to do
Yes.
other things. I was involved and engaged in a church family. I was, loved on by another, kind of adopted family. So there was nothing missing from my social life or my experience with relationships. So I wasn't searching. I wasn't, void of anything. And again, that's only the providence of
Oh,
God.
so God. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Now, you were enjoying all these activities, and did you start an organization or a event so that you could do you to stop a gap in the church life?
Yeah. So um the church that I belonged to in Baltimore was very small, and on the order of, like, maybe 50 people would be at church.
Wow, that is
So
small.
very, very small. And there were only a handful of young adults in my age group. And I had, wanted there to be some intention around building those friendships and building our spirituality as a young adult group. And so I had, sought the advice and feedback from some friends who were involved in young adult ministry. And it was through that avenue of reaching out to learn information, to see how other people were doing young adult ministry, that I met my now husband.
Wow.
So, in the work, in the doing of God's work, is where I found, you know, my love and my purpose and hope and future, right? It's just
Yes.
in doing the work of God. Um, yep, it was through a mutual friend I had reached out to, and this person was like, "You need to talk to my roommate who's, doing young adult ministry at his church." And so that's how Vonrick and I met up, and that's really been the foundation of our relationship is ministry and serving God, and we pray that that continues to be kind of not just what bonds us, but what helps us grow closer to Christ as well.
Tell me a little bit, thank you. Tell me a little bit about that project that both you and your now husband were involved in. Go tell. Yeah, tell us a little bit
Okay.
about that.
Yeah. So there's two things. The first that we created together is a community outreach project service day called Beyond the Walls. And this project is a church-wide service initiative that we had the support from pastoral leadership at our church to implement. And it basically created several different service projects that members of the church could do on a Sabbath morning or Sabbath afternoon. And literally the entire church went out and did service. We had an abbreviated church service and
Service.
sermon, and then we all went out and went to the respective community
Service.
service
Mhm.
sites and did the work of God. And so Beyond the Walls was like our you know first bona fide, like, big, large scale ministry that we developed as a couple. And then Vonrick actually had the vision to create a ministry in and of itself, apart from church, um, called Gotello. And this is a ministry that is founded upon um, equipping people to share Jesus in meaningful ways. That can be through teaching, through Bible study, through just lived example. So, from the formal to the informal, how do we share Jesus? How do we, go and make disciples as God has commissioned us to do? And so, Gotello is still in development, I'll say.
Yes,
um,
yes, yes.
we did put on a workshop, a training workshop at one of our churches, and it was very well received. And you all just keep on praying for Gotello, keep on praying for God to put the people in place and to really inspire Vaughn to pick back up and get Gotello going.
Awesome. But I remember a couple years ago, maybe 2012, I sent an
Mhm.
email saying, I am doing an AY and I need both you and Vonrick to give me some pointers for the young people and let them know, how God can move in your life. And without hesitation, you both responded. And I don't even know if you remember this, but I'm going to read what you
Wow.
said to the you sent me some information on both yourselves and Von Rick. And I'm wondering, Philip, can you show me any of the pictures that I sent you? Are you able to do that? I know I sent it to you late, so I know you might not have them at hand. And I'm hoping that I can find what Tay and Von Rick said as their advice to young people. Your advice to young people was, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And you said, in both of our experiences, our relationship with God has been the most important key to our success. Nothing in life is worth accomplishing if you don't have Christ. So follow your dreams, work hard in school, develop and keep refining your talents and skills, but remember to keep God first.
Okay, that was pretty
I
good
said,
advice.
yes, and I think when I shared it with the young people, they were quite impressed with what you both had done, especially as young people. This was 11 years ago.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, 11 years ago, something fantastic happened in your life. What was that? In this month?
I got married.
Oh, yes.
It's
Let's
hard to
celebrate.
believe that it's been 11 years, but it's been a very sweet and satisfying 11 years.
Congratulations on 11 years.
Thank
You,
you. Thank you.
you mentioned you're a mother of boys, you're a boy mom.
I am.
Uh, and I'm going to ask you, how, if you don't mind sharing it with us, you've had three boys. Were your pregnancies all the same? What were the differences? How did you cope with them?
Hmm. Hmm. My pregnancies were all the same in that I had terrible morning sickness for a very long time. So
Oh.
yeah, yeah, I love all of them and I'm so glad they are healthy, but I don't want to ever do that again. I just so happened to have very terrible morning sickness, not to the point of hospitalization or anything, but
Yeah, yeah.
just every single day, nausea and vomiting well into the second trimester. And it was like an all day thing. Not this whole morning sickness is a misnomer. Um, so they were all the same in that respect. I think because I was a little younger and maybe a little more, spruce, Joselle, my oldest, I think I probably had the most energy with that pregnancy. But I was also in a very rigorous training, a part of my training with the second two. So with
Ah,
Evan, my second, I was an intern, which is one of the most difficult parts of
type
your
years.
medical residency training. And then with Evan, I was in my third year of residency. So I was kind of on my way out, but I was, a chief resident and had a lot of responsibility. So it was probably the cumulative, effect of pregnancy and all the other things that made the second two um, a little more difficult. But I mean, thank God I didn't have any pregnancy
Pregnancy.
complications. I wasn't on any medications. I had vaginal deliveries at full term with healthy babies. So when it comes to prenatal course, you can't get any better than I had it.
Yes.
So I give God thanks.
Lovely. And I'm going to go straight into your area of specialism, which
Yes.
is women's health. So tell
Yes.
me, I know you're very passionate about that. Tell
Yes.
me what is involved and why are you so passionate about it?
So I'm going to back up and just say I am a family physician, which
Listen,
means
yes.
I provide comprehensive care for the entire family. My youngest patient is a brand new newborn that I just delivered, and my oldest patient is 94 years old. So I
Yes.
care for everyone in between. And I think it's so important that we keep the scope of healthcare to the family unit, right? Not just the
Yes.
individual, because one's own health is really dependent on your
What's happening?
relationships and what's happening in your family unit, right? So it's an honor to be able to take care of people and their families and by extension, the community. But my special little passion is for moms and babies. If you can take good care of moms and babies, we'd have much better health outcomes for everybody else, right? Moms are the ones that primarily, get people to the doctor, and they're the caregivers primarily. Of course, there's exceptions, but
Definitely.
if we can take good care of those two, the moms and the young ones, I think we'd see much better outcomes across the board. But why I'm so passionate, there's two reasons. The first is this is a personal experience for me. I am a woman, I am a mom. And so to see particularly our Black moms, experiencing such high burden of morbidity and mortality, which is experiencing so much disease and death as compared to our white counterparts, it's devastating and it's terrifying. Black women should not be afraid to bring life into this world. But unfortunately, because of the conditions and circumstances around, maternity care in this country, we are seeing wide disparities in maternal outcomes. So I want to make change from a very personal, you know, vantage point, because saving them saves me, right? I'm not having any more babies, but I'm just saying, it's a very personal thing.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but then I also feel like, again, if we were to, and of course, all life is equally valuable, but if you want to take care of um, moms who produce life and provide the next generation, and you take care of the young ones who grow into adults, you have got healthcare covered, right? You've essentially provided the foundation for good health for the entire population. um, so this is a very needed and under recognized area of healthcare, that I'm just trying to fill in the niche and really make impactful change. I just talk about it and harp on all the issues, but to get in there and start doing something meaningful that changes the odds. So I'm praying, that's how God uses me, and He gives me the honor of being able to turn the tide around maternity care and infant health.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm gonna ask you a question, which might cause some controversy because somehow we are still in 2023 trying to define something, and I'd like you
Mm,
to tell me from your vantage point as a medical doctor and a
mhm,
PhD doctor.
mhm.
What's the definition of a woman?
Hmm. So there is biological sex, okay? And there are only two options for biological sex. That is male, that has an XY on their sex chromosome, and they have a female, which is an XX. So there are only two biological sex definitions, okay? Gender is different. And while I am very sensitive to the different experiences and the different um, desires and wishes for people to explore who they are, um, a woman, as I believe the Bible has defined, is a female with a uterus and the ability to bring life into the world. Um, Now, again, just to be clear, that is my own personal vantage point and perspective, but I am happy to care for anyone who differs. And if they present to me with a different version of what it means to be a woman, I will still care for them with the same dignity and respect and care and attention that I would give to anybody else. So, I might be dodging the question a little bit, but I hope it's clear what I believe. And yet, it is possible for me to package what I believe and still do the right thing by
Exactly.
everybody else.
Exactly. So it's about ensuring that we treat everybody with respect. And you've used the
Absolutely.
word that you mentioned early on when you spoke about the relationship, the foundation that your matriarchal family members gave to you, and it was
Hmm.
empathy. So
Yes.
your ability to
Yes.
be in somebody else's shoes, and
Yes.
you have not dodged the question. I think you have answered it the way I expected you to answer it, with
Hmm.
outlining exactly what is involved and where you stand and where you take your definition from. So thank you very much for that. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that you have been listening keenly to the nuggets of wisdom, and you've been inspired and blessed by what we've been hearing from Dr. Latey Bradford. Now, Latey, I'm hoping that Philip will forgive me and will do something that I sent to him very late. Now, Mr. Producer, can you assist me by giving me my treasure trove? I'm hoping that he will assist me. Um, Philip, are you there? I'm hoping that Philip is there. And if Philip is not there, I am going to. Oh, Philip, thank you. So, can I go ahead and do it, Philip? Okay, so Latte, I need you
Yes.
to know that I reached out to some people to have them give me a little view of you from them. And
Oh,
I have two surprises for you. I call it my Tuesday treasure trove.
oh,
And
that's
I want you
awesome.
to listen up. Just
Okay.
listen, because they didn't send their pictures. They just wanted you to hear them. So
Okay.
I hope you'll enjoy the treasure that you are about to receive. Philip, thank you very much. I know Philip is going to ping me up any moment now. But as usual, I have to wait a little. But ladies and gentlemen, I know that you might have some questions, and if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. But if not, Latte, I know what my audience normally does. They might be a little shy on putting questions or comments in, but as soon as we're finished, I get lots of phone calls to say fantastic and so forth, which I will share with you once I've got it.
Thank you.
Philip, are we good to go? Yes.
You go ahead.
Uh, you, I must play mine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I am hoping. All right. Will they hear it from me? Okay. Okay, no problem. I am going to play, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be as loud as possible. This is Auntie Grayson here, just saying hello and also saying congratulations on your achievements. I am so grateful to be a part of your life and just to see your journey throughout the years, and just the passion for what you wanted to do and who you wanted to become.
Oh.
The passion that you bring to it, and also just how awesome a mother, a wife you are. And for all of that, we just love you. And not to mention you're a human. Can't speak about you without speaking about your humility. And for that, I say, continue to do what I know that you will allow your passion to drive you further and further. Blessings. Love you. So that's your
Oh,
first
that's
treasure.
awesome. Thank you, Auntie Grace, and love you too so much.
Okay, so here's your second treasure. What is even more is that with all her accomplishments, she remains so humble and sweet. She's strong-minded, but also and happiness. She's poured into our family. Tay, I truly admire your love and respect for our family.
the awesome, inspiring union you both share, and yes, the gift of our three grandsons. You're not a daughter in law to me, but a daughter to us. I recall sharing with my family and friends that you were every mother's dream for her son. And 11 years later, I can truly say God gave us the gift of you. You're more than I ever wished for, and our son is really blessed to have you as his wife. So much more I could share about you, but we're just happy and proud of you and wishing you the best in all your endeavors.
Who is that?
Oh, that's mom. Thank you, mom. So
Yeah.
sweet. And I have to say that from day one, I have never felt um, any lack of love and support from mom and the entire family. I am so blessed to have the best in-laws. But as she said, they're family. That's what it is, including you, Auntie. So thank you so much for all the love and
Oh,
support all these years.
my love. I'm just happy that my love has you, so
Yes.
I'm fine. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Latey Bradford. I know without a shadow of a doubt that you have been blessed by her. She's dropped some nuggets, She's told us that she's introverted, but she has been class president. She's been
Mhm.
in the band. She's been doing ministry. She's been public speaking. She's top of her class. She's had wonderful experience. She has told God that He will do things, and He
That's
did
right.
it. You
That's
know,
right.
she is a woman of God. She's a woman of purpose. She's an intentional woman.
Mhm.
She's an inspirational woman. I am just so happy that she's in my circle. Rather, I'm in her circle. I'm so excited by that. I mean, I am just happy and impressed with her commitment, her passion, her humility, her high standards. You know, um, she's always calm, never ruffled. And her three boys, she's a wonderful mother, wonderful wife,
Thank you.
the balance, the organization, having her own relationship, being aware to the sacrifice that she knew her mom would be going through and saying to God, I'm going to do my part and you will do your part
That's
because of
right.
the relationship that she has with him, not had, but has, the fact that she is about ministry in everything, reaching out to her community. And her community is not just her family, but anybody who touches her life. And this is seen in the fact that she is a family physician. She is dealing with the newborn baby that she
Mhm.
delivers, and she's
Mhm.
taking care of the almost centurion. You
Yeah.
know, we are blessed to have Tay in our lives. And ladies and gentlemen, I know that you have been blessed by her story. I hope we don't have time enough to go into everything, but I hope that you are able to get a snippet of the wonderful person, of the impact that she's having on others, and that I know she has had an impact on you this evening. It has been my pleasure to have a conversation with you, Tay. I am so, so, so happy that we were able to have this time today. Really, really happy.
The
You know,
pleasure is all mine. Thank you so
thank
much
you.
for giving me this opportunity. Every time I get to share my story, it is my testimony. It is
Yes,
my
yes,
way of giving God glory because it's only by His grace and His provision that I am
yes.
where I am. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and spending this time with me.
Thank you. You know what? I'm going to spring something on you, and I didn't talk to
Okay.
you about it. But as I was talking to you, I was thinking, I need Tay to do something with her pipes. I know she hasn't planned for this. I know she hasn't planned for it. Tay, please bless us with even a chorus of a song.
Oh my goodness. What am I
Let
going to
the
say?
congregation hear you. You said he made a way.
He made a way. I guess I'm going to say, great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. And since I started the song too high, I'm going to stop right there.
Honey, it wasn't too high for me. I was just saying, you go, girl. Oh, Tay, thank you. You have blessed us
Thank you.
in your words, your presence, your talent. You know, we are blessed, and we are so happy that we were able to talk to you this evening. You have a new following, a set of followers, and I know that people will be blessed by this podcast because you were here. It's been my honor, my privilege, and whew, love you, girl. Love you, girl.
Thank you. Love you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another It Is Possible Tuesdays with Sanjo. We've had the wonderful Dr. Bradford with us. I want to say thank you for coming, and I want to remind you that you must be a dreamer, be a doer, and a thinker. See possibility everywhere. Because you are alive, everything is possible. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. See you next month for another It Is Possible Tuesdays with Sanya. Thank you very much and have a very good evening. Bye.
On Jesus, all things are possible. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When I call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause he'll move heaven and earth to come rescue me when I call.
Very sorry, we are our kind of Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you, Philip.